Hello, this is Mr. Holmes Williams, and today we're going to learn about some of the basic elements, tags, and attributes you will be using inside of your HTML website. Let's get started. First, we're going to look at some of the basic HTML structure tags and elements that you're going to need to start your HTML website. For example, the first thing you should always do whenever you start your HTML website is do the doc type HTML tag. So anything between the less than and the greater than symbol is called a tag. And so every single element that we do inside of HTML is going to have, in some way, shape, or form, this style of tag. The next thing you're going to do is start and close your HTML element, which has a starting HTML tag, again, less than, greater than symbol, and then, of course, Code.HS auto-completes our closing tag. And the only difference between the opening and the closing tags of any element is going to be that the closing tag has this / before you call the name of the element, okay? So now that we have gotten our HTML element opened and closed with its opening and closing tags, now we're going to basically put in the 2 stars of any HTML document, which is first the head element and the body element. And here is a great chance for me to show you how to comment inside of HTML. So you're going to do your less than symbol as if you're going to start a tag. However, instead of starting a tag, you're going to do an exclamation point dash dash, and you see how it turns green. That means it's going to be a comment. And I'm going to say the head element contains information about your web page and all information that cannot be seen on the web page. And then you end it with a dash dash greater than. Whereas body, doing the same thing, this is where all the content on your web page goes. Beautiful. So we're going to start in head. No, we're going to start in body and then go to head. So in body, you can do the P element. So the P element is the paragraph element. So you can say this is a paragraph. Yay. And so we can refresh our page, and you can see here inside of a basic paragraph-like text, we have this is a paragraph, yay. And again, this is the P element with the opening and closing P tags. The next thing we're going to show you is how to create a heading. And a heading, the only difference between a heading and a paragraph would be that the heading is usually bigger and it is bolded. So for example, we have the H1 or heading 1 element that does this. And so now you can see the difference between a basic paragraph text, right, and our header 1 text. And you actually have 6 of the headers, so let's go ahead and show how those look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Awesome, and then we're just going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can count. Awesome, love that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then let's change this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so now we're going to run this. And now you can see the visual differences between the header 1 and the header 6, also known as the heading 1 and heading 6. So heading 1 is, of course, going to be the biggest, whereas header 6 is going to be quite a bit smaller. All right, the next thing we're going to show you, these are going to essentially break the rules that we've established thus far by having no ending tags. So the BR and HR elements, or just simply the BR and HR tags, are actually elements within HTML. However, they do not have a closing because they do very simple things like so. So the HR, or as I will put in the comments, the horizontal rules element / tag, it creates just that. It creates a horizontal line on your HTML document versus our break element slash tag, right, it will then create a break. So right now the BR or the break element is not really doing much. However, if I distribute the break element across some of our other lines, and we distribute our horizontal rules across some of our lines as well, you'll be able to see just what it can do. And so now, when I run it, you can see here, horizontal rules, horizontal rules, horizontal rules, break, 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 right? So that is your BR and HR tags slash elements, however you want to say. Finally, we are going to do an image within our body element before then going up to our head. So image, just like the break and the horizontal rules tags, also does not have a closing tag. So it's simply IMG, and then you close it like that. So the reason why you don't need a closing tag is because all of the heavy lifting is done with the attributes that are contained within the image tag. And so the attributes that we're going to use today are as follows. The first one being SRC equals something in quotes, width equals something in quotes, height equals something in quotes, and finally alt equals something in quotes. So attributes, which follow this very same naming scheme, so the name of the actual attribute equals something in quotes is what you will follow, and it is always contained within the first tag of any element. Of course, right now we're working with a tag or an element, the image element, that does not have a closing tag, and so it's just going to go within the only tag of the element. But if, let's say, we want to do something with the P element and we put an attribute up here, it will be in this part of the element, not in this part. Anyways, SRC, also known as the source attribute, is where you actually get the link to your image. The width and the height, they of course alter the width and the height of the image, and then the alt attribute gives you alt text for that image. And so what attributes do is that they basically modify the function or whatever the element does. It modifies it and alters it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and look at a picture of SpongeBob because I love SpongeBob. So photos of SpongeBob. So I'm going to go to the SpongeBob wiki page and I'm going to go and copy this image. I'm going to right click it and then go to copy image address. You want to go to the website itself, not go from the Google result because it may not work. I'm going to paste this, and you'll know that you've gotten a good link when the link ends with the image type that you have. So this is a PNG. You can also do a JPEG and other types of images. So when I run my page, you can see now I have a beautiful image of SpongeBob SquarePants. Now I can do other things, like I can add in a width. So maybe I want this SpongeBob to do really wide. So let's do 500 pixels. I'm going to refresh my page, and now he is not 500, 700 pixels. So now he's 700 pixels. What if I only wanted him to be 70 pixels? Well, now he's really small in 70 pixels. You could also do percentage. So maybe I want him to be 70% of his original width. So now he's 70% of the page's width. Now he's 70% of the page width. I'm going to go and just make him a very regular 400 pixels. But you can make this anything, and you can make pixels centimeters, meters, inches, whatever you want, right? But the standard unit of measurement on a website is going to be pixels. Now I want to make this a tall SpongeBob, so I'm going to make him 1,000 pixels tall. And so now he's a very tall, stretched out, proper SpongeBob. All right, and then finally we're going to add in our alt text. We'll just say, this is a great picture of SpongeBob. And again, the alt text is really for people who use screen readers. So you won't actually see this text unless A, the image fails to load, and you're just given the alt text as an alternative to the image itself, or you're using a screen reader. But it's always good to add this in because you never know who might need to use this as a result of internet being bad or them using a screen reader. All right, let's go up to head, and up in the head, we're going to do two elements. The first element is going to be the title element, and again, most elements are going to have an opening and closing tag, and title, it it follows that same naming convention. And so when you get to the title element, whatever you put in here, so I'm going to say HTML basics web page, right? If I refresh the page and I'm opening up in a new link, then what happens is up in the tab, you can see it says HTML basics web page. Now I can also add in an emoji here because you know emojis are cool. So let's add in this cute little emoji here. Great. We're going to refresh our page, open it in a new tab, and you can see here we now have the emoji there. So again, when you go to your head element, this is really for things that you will not see on the web page itself, but things that either you can see in the browser or that just say something about your web page. The last thing we're going to show you is the meta element, and the meta element is essentially giving out information about your web page. So I did pull up just to show you all the different things you can do. So you can see on the W3 Schools webpage, they have, of course, the opening and closing of all of our elements. So you have the P element, you have the HTML, body, head, etc. And you can see here some of the different ways that they've used meta. The one that I'm going to do, and I'm just going to copy it from here, is the HTML meta element. So I'm just going to copy and paste this, and then I'm going to change the data. So name equals description, content equals HTML basic web page. And I can also do another one that says meta name equals, and this is going to be author, and then content equals Satchel Holmes Williams. And just like our image, BR, and HR tags, Meta does not have a closing tag. It just has itself. All right, that has been your introduction to HTML. Hopefully you have learned something about the headers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 elements, the P element, the HR, BR, and image elements, the title element, and of course the meta element. Thank you all for listening.